Welcome back to Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025. Can a broken relationship be reduced to a spreadsheet of petty debts? Can irresponsibility be masked by ambiguous receipts? Today, we delve into part 2 of episode 13,644 Best Amazing Cases Season 2-5, an installment that exposes the naked truth about post-breakup disputes, traffic accidents, and professional negligence. Join me, your narrator, as we dissect every detail and search for justice amidst the chaos of everyday life. This is a deep dive into human nature and expensive financial lessons. Part 1. Old Love and the Balance Sheet of Debt. Acri v. Jones. The first case, Case 2100 Acri vs. Jones, immediately plunges us into a fierce battle between ex-lovers. The plaintiff, 28-year-old Corinne Acri, is suing her ex-boyfriend, Donald Jones, for rent and utility bills. Not to be outdone, Mr. Donald Jones countersues for lost rent, lost wages, and even a loan to retrieve Ms. Acri's stereo equipment from a pawn shop. From the title, I sense this is a typical tangled case of cohabiting couples lacking financial transparency. Judge Judy begins by confirming that Ms. Acri and Mr. Jones lived together for a period and both signed the lease agreement. This detail is crucial. It instantly establishes shared legal responsibility for the rent, meaning both are culpable for any delays. Ms. Acri confirms this is true. She mentions an issue with a mortgage or security deposit of $480. Ms. Acri asserts she is claiming $1,450, covering September and October rent plus utilities. She explains that she paid the August rent and also paid for September, but Mr. Jones failed to pay. This suggests an unclear division of payments between the two, a common mistake in relationships. Judge Judy directly asks Ms. Acri about August, and she confirms she paid $380 in rent for that month. Judge Judy then asks Ms. Acri about September and October. Ms. Acri insists she paid for September, and Mr. Jones did not. She also claims Mr. Jones didn't pay the October rent. I see Ms. Acri attempting to build a profile of a financially wronged party, but the fact that both she and Mr. Jones signed the lease makes it difficult for her to completely shed responsibility. It is now Donald Jones's turn to speak. Mr. Jones confirms living with Ms. Acri and insists he paid the rent for the months he was there, including September. Mr. Jones presents a receipt for the September payment. This detail creates a direct conflict, and Judge Judy immediately focuses on this piece of evidence. Ms. Acri vehemently counters that the September receipt was actually for the August rent. She explains that she paid the August rent in cash, and Mr. Jones paid by check. But then Mr. Jones took the cash back from her. She claims the landlord made an error by marking the receipt for September instead of August. This is a very weak defense. The receipt is material evidence, and blaming the landlord for a documentation error a desperate attempt to explain the contradiction. Judge Judy emphasizes that if the receipt states September, it is September, unless there is clear evidence to the contrary. Judge Judy moves to the security deposit issue. Ms. Acri confirms the deposit was $480, and both contributed half. Then, a detail that surprises me emerges. Ms. Acri admits the complex manager withheld the full $480 deposit due to damages she caused to the apartment. Ms. Acri's self-admission of causing damage, leading to the loss of the communal security deposit, is a self-destructive act against her own claim for compensation. Judge Judy immediately chastises Ms. Acri for this, stressing that the fault lies with her and she caused both of them to lose that money. I see clear irresponsibility here. Ms. Acri not only damaged property, but also squandered their joint funds. Judge Judy turns to Mr. Jones's counterclaim. Mr. Jones is asking for September rent and lost wages. Mr. Jones claims Ms. Acri tore his shirt and uniform during an argument, preventing him from going to work and causing him to lose $500 in wages. This is a ridiculous claim. Losing $500 in wages over a torn shirt is an unacceptable exaggeration. Judge Judy also questions the reasonableness of this claim, asking Mr. Jones why he didn't just buy a new shirt. Mr. Jones claims it would take him a week to obtain a new uniform, a less than convincing excuse. Judge Judy dismisses Mr. Jones's claim for September rent, as he presented a receipt clearly stating it was the September payment. She emphasizes that he cannot claim back what he has already paid. The final issue is the $300 Mr. Jones spent to retrieve Ms. Ackery's stereo equipment from the pawn shop. Ms. Ackery admits Mr. Jones retrieved the items from the pawn shop but insists it was not alone. She says Mr. Jones did it voluntarily. Mr. Jones counters, stating it was alone. Judge Judy asks Ms. Ackery if she intended to repay the money, and Ms. Ackery replies she doesn't have the money yet. Judge Judy delivers her final analysis. She dismisses Ms. Ackery's claim for September and October rent because Ms. Ackery caused $480 in deposit damage, and this amount is considered offset against what Mr. Jones might have owed. She also dismisses Mr. Jones's claim for lost wages, as there is no proof that a torn shirt caused the loss of income. Verdict: Judge Judy rules in favor of Mr. Donald Jones for the $300 loan to retrieve the stereo equipment, compelling Ms. Corinne Ackery to repay this amount. All other claims are dismissed. I find this a fair verdict, a perfect offset for both parties' irresponsibility. Ms. Ackery loses the deposit due to her actions, and Mr. Jones loses his counterclaim due to his groundless exaggeration. The lesson here is to always keep evidence and never lie about the consequences of a torn shirt. Part 2. Dishonesty and the Electric Scooter Accident. Youngblood v. Alcala. We move to Case 2154 Youngblood vs. Alcala, a lawsuit claiming medical expenses and pain and suffering after an electric scooter accident. The plaintiff, Ms. Roxana Youngblood, is suing Mr. Matthew Alcala for $1,500. Ms. Roxana Youngblood presents the story, which occurred around 10 p.m. while she was walking on the sidewalk. She recounts being struck from behind by Mr. Alcala's electric scooter. She describes falling to the ground, hitting her head, and suffering temporary amnesia. She had to go to the hospital. I am concerned for Ms. Youngblood. Being struck from behind without warning on a sidewalk, a space designated for pedestrians, is a blatant violation. Judge Judy asks to see the medical bills, which Ms. Youngblood presents. Ms. Youngblood insists she was not at fault. She was merely walking normally. It is Mr. Matthew Alcala's turn. Mr. Alcala immediately denies it. He claims he was not the one driving the electric scooter. He admits the scooter is his, but the driver was his friend. This is a very predictable and often unsuccessful tactic for evading responsibility before Judge Judy. Judge Judy immediately counters. She emphasizes that if he wasn't the driver, he had a responsibility to provide the driver's name to Ms. Youngblood. Mr. Alcala still tries to evade, saying Ms. Youngblood was running on the sidewalk and injured herself, and he didn't want to involve his friend. This defense annoys me. His act of protecting his friend by lying and blaming the victim is unacceptable. Judge Judy turns to Ms. Youngblood and asks about the scooter's speed. Ms. Youngblood says it was very fast, but she isn't sure of the exact speed. Judge Judy turns back to Mr. Alcala. He finally admits he was the one driving the electric scooter. Judge Judy severely questions him about lying from the beginning. Mr. Alcala offers the ridiculous defense that he thought if he denied it, he wouldn't be held responsible. This dishonesty completely destroys his credibility. Judge Judy asks about the police report. The report documents statements from both parties but does not conclude fault. Judge Judy clarifies a key point. The sidewalk is for pedestrians, not for motor vehicles. Mr. Alcala's act of driving an electric scooter on the sidewalk violated the law and was the direct cause of the accident. Judge Judy reviews Ms. Youngblood's medical bills and finds the costs to be reasonable. She dismisses his defense about his friend driving and his initial dishonesty. Verdict: Judge Judy rules in favor of Ms. Roxana Youngblood, compelling Mr. Matthew Alcala to pay $1,500. Judge Judy concludes that Mr. Alcala's conduct of driving on the sidewalk was a violation, and he is fully responsible for Ms. Youngblood's injuries. I completely agree. Mr. Alcala's lie is the clearest evidence of his guilt. This verdict is a reminder of traffic responsibility and the necessity of honesty when facing justice. Part 3. The Broken Friendship and the Refrigerator. Martin v. Pledger. Next is Case 2167 Martin vs. Pledger, a dispute between two former close friends, Dion Martin and Nikita Pledger, concerning rent and a refrigerator. Ms. Dion Martin is claiming $1,500 in compensation. Ms. Martin and Ms. Pledger lived together for a time, and Ms. Martin claimed she paid the rent for the months Ms. Pledger was there. Ms. Nikita Pledger counters. Ms. Pledger says she incurred expenses for renting a truck to move her belongings out of the apartment and for the rent of a new apartment. Ms. Pledger insists she paid her rent in full for the month she stayed. Judge Judy asks Ms. Martin about the lease agreement. Ms. Martin admits Ms. Pledger was not named on the lease. This detail immediately and significantly weakens Ms. Martin's rent claim, as the direct legal responsibility belonged to the signatory. The issue shifts to the refrigerator. Ms. Martin demands Ms. Pledger return $400 for the purchase of the refrigerator Ms. Pledger is currently using. Ms. Martin presents the purchase receipt, but her name is not clearly specified on the receipt. Ms. Pledger admits she is using the refrigerator, but claims she paid Ms. Martin $300 to buy it. Ms. Pledger has no proof of payment, whether a check, receipt, or text message. I see a lack of financial evidence keeping on both sides. Judge Judy asks about their relationship. Ms. Martin confirms she asks Ms. Pledger to move out after some major arguments. Judge Judy returns to the rent claim. Because Ms. Pledger did not sign the lease and there is no clear evidence of a specific verbal agreement, Ms. Martin's claim is very difficult to prove. Verdict: Judge Judy rules to dismiss Ms. Martin's rent claim. However, she rules in favor of Ms. Martin for the refrigerator compensation, compelling Ms. Nikita Pledger to pay $400. Judge Judy explains that although Ms. Pledger claims she paid, the lack of any payment evidence, while Ms. Martin has the original purchase evidence, makes Ms. Pledger's testimony unreliable. This verdict is a reasonable balance, emphasizing that even in a friendship, property is still property. It's a reminder to everyone, even when dealing with friends, always keep proof of payment. Part 4. Absolute liability for pets. Skaggs v. Young. Next is Case 2176 Skaggs vs. Young, a dog bite lawsuit. The plaintiff, Ms. Roxanne Skaggs, is suing Mr. William Young for $1,500 for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Ms. Roxanne Skaggs describes being bitten by Mr. William Young's dog, causing a severe leg injury. She recounts that the incident happened while she was walking, and the dog ran out of Mr. Young's house and attacked her. Ms. Skaggs presents evidence of the injury and medical bills. She states the wound required stitches and later became infected, costing $1,000 for treatment. She requests an additional $500 for pain and suffering. This serious injury immediately escalates the case's severity. It is Mr. William Young's turn. Mr. Young admits the dog is his, but claims the dog was chained in the backyard and could not have gotten out. Mr. Young offers the defense that Ms. Skaggs might have trespassed into his yard or provoked the dog. Judge Judy asks Mr. Young about the injury. Mr. Young admits he saw the injury and called Ms. Skaggs to apologize and check on her. However, Mr. Young still does not fully accept responsibility. Judge Judy immediately clarifies the law regarding pet ownership. She emphasizes that animal owners bear out legal responsibility for their animal's actions, especially when the dog bites another person and causes injury. She dismisses Mr. Young's defense about the dog being chained or Ms. Skaggs entering the yard. Verdict: Judge Judy rules in favor of Ms. Roxanne Skaggs, compelling Mr. William Young to pay $1,500. She concludes that Mr. Young bears absolute responsibility for the dog's actions, and the medical and pain and suffering compensation requested is reasonable. This verdict is a strong wake-up call about pet owner responsibility. You cannot evade liability when your animal harms another person. Part 5. Lack of professionalism and property damage. Lombardo v. Dandria. The final case is Case 2188 Lombardo v. Dandria, a dispute over repair costs and property damage between two neighbors. The plaintiff, Ms. Tony Lombardo, is suing Mr. Joseph Dandria for $3,000. Ms. Tony Lombardo presents that she hired Mr. Joseph Dandria to perform some repair work in her house. Ms. Lombardo claims Mr. Dandria damaged her property during the work, including water pipes and walls, and she had to hire someone else to fix the damage. She requests Mr. Dandria reimburse the repair costs and compensate for the damage. Ms. Lombardo presents the subsequent repair invoices from the other contractor. Judge Judy asks about the type of work Mr. Dandria performed. Ms. Lomberto explains in detail about the water pipe and wall repairs. Ms. Lomberto also presents photographic evidence of the damage Mr. D'Andrea caused, which clearly demonstrates a lack of professionalism and negligence. It is Mr. Joseph D'Andrea's turn to speak. Mr. D'Andrea, a repairman, counters that he performed the work as requested and the damage was unintended. Mr. D'Andrea claims he attempted to fix the damage, but Ms. Lomberto did not allow him to. Judge Judy asks Mr. D'Andrea about his experience and professional license. Mr. D'Andrea admits he is an unlicensed handyman. This detail immediately weakens his position before the court. Ms. Lomberto presents a detailed repair invoice from the subsequent contractor, proving the cost she had to pay to fix Mr. D'Andrea's errors. This invoice is the strongest piece of material evidence in the lawsuit. Verdict: Judge Judy rules in favor of Ms. Tony Lomberto, compelling Mr. Joseph D'Andrea to pay $3,000. She concludes that Mr. D'Andrea did not perform the work professionally and caused serious damage to Ms. Lomberto's property. This verdict is a warning to those who hire non-professional contractors. Damage caused by a lack of expertise can cost far more than hiring a licensed professional initially. Part 6. In-depth analysis and next development predictions. After dissecting every piece of episode 13,644 Best Amazing Cases Season 2 I notice a recurring theme: the evasion of responsibility and its expensive consequences. Judge Judy judges not only on evidence, but also on ethics and the consistency of testimony. In the case of Acri v. Jones, the truth about the September receipt remains ambiguous, but Judge Judy resolved it pragmatically by offsetting the potential debt with the lost deposit caused by Karen Acri's fault. This was a balanced decision, a reminder that no act of irresponsibility is immune from consequence. Regarding your question about Acri v. Jones, did the offsetting truly resolve the root issue? I believe it was merely a financial conclusion. The root problem was their complete lack of transparency, their mutual emotional immaturity, and their failure to establish clear financial boundaries and take responsibility for their own mistakes. Acri damaging the apartment, Jones fabricating a lost wages claim. Judge Judy's ruling settled the monetary dispute by leveraging Acri's admitted $480 fault against Jones's potential $480 rent claim, plus forcing repayment of the clear $300 loan. It offered a transactional closure, but it did nothing to fix the underlying personality defects that led them to court. They leave as financially settled adversaries, not as individuals who learned how to be responsible co-tenants or partners. I predict Karen Acri will face deep disappointment after this ruling. She sued to recover money, but ended up owing Donald Jones $300. This might make her feel wronged, even though legally, she was completely at fault for damaging the apartment. She will become more financially conservative, but perhaps not fully learn the lesson of transparency and honesty from the start. It's highly likely she tried to negotiate paying the $300 to Jones in installments, sparking another minor argument outside the courtroom. As for Donald Jones, he won $300 but lost his claim for lost wages due to his clumsy lie about the torn shirt. I speculate Jones will use the $300 to quickly cut all ties with Acri. His lesson is, never exaggerate damages. However, his tendency to try and squeeze every last penny out of an ex-partner might remain. I predict he will continue to have minor financial disputes in future relationships. Youngblood v. Alcala is a lesson in honesty. Matthew Alcala's admission to lying after being cornered clearly shows his cowardly nature. Although he has to pay $1,500, I believe the lesson in honesty is the most expensive one. I predict Matthew Alcala will attempt to justify his actions to friends and family, blaming misunderstanding or overly strict laws. He might become hostile towards Ms. Youngblood and seek non-monetary revenge, even if just by speaking ill of her. Behaviorally, however, he will be much more careful about driving on sidewalks, having learned a painful financial lesson. In Martin v. Pledger, the friendship breakup was only resolved by compensating for the refrigerator. Both women failed to establish a clear rental agreement. I speculate Dion Martin and Nikita Pledger will never see each other again. The verdict on the refrigerator is the final nail in the coffin. Pledger has to pay for the appliance she uses, but the relationship is ruined. Both will learn the lesson that you shouldn't live with friends unless there is a clear contract, even one detailing kitchen appliances. Finally, the dog bite case Skaggs v. Young and the repair case Lombardo v. Dandra are both warning cases about professional and property liability. I believe William Young will be shocked by the $1,500 cost and will increase control over his dog. He might even consider muzzling or seeking stricter training solutions. For Joseph Dandra, being forced to pay $3,000 will be a severe blow to his unlicensed repair career. I predict he will have to temporarily stop taking large jobs until he obtains a license or insurance. Otherwise, he will face a string of similar lawsuits. In summary, my predictions lean towards reluctant behavioral change. People learn their lessons, but often in the most painful way and just enough to avoid being sued again. Justice here is not just about money, but about growth. Part 7. Conclusion and Call to Action. Episode 13,640 for Best Amazing Cases Season 2-5 provided a multifaceted picture of the petty but intense conflicts in modern life. From negligence in property management, the danger of electric scooters on sidewalks, to the consequences of irresponsible pet ownership and hiring unlicensed contractors. Every case is a cautionary tale. Judge Judy, with her sharp wit and experience, did not just rule on money, but compelled the litigants to confront their own dishonesty and irresponsibility. She proved that in her courtroom, evidence and truth always triumph over clumsy lies. The biggest lesson I take away today is, act responsibly and always have evidence for every transaction, whether with an ex-lover or your closest friend. So, what do you think? Regarding the Acri v. Jones case, did Judge Judy's offsetting of rent against the lost deposit truly resolve the root of their problems? Or was it merely a financial conclusion? Share your thoughts and don't forget to subscribe to the Judge Judy Movie Analysis 2025 channel to continue analyzing fascinating legal stories and drawing expensive lessons for our own lives. See you in the next episode.